welcome. So today I'm going to do a bit of watercolor for the very first time. And I learned a lot of things along the way that I thought would be beneficial for those just starting out, at least my first go around. So here's 7 tips for those that are just starting out, things that I learned the first time I tried using watercolors. So the first is the paper that you choose really does matter. And I learned now that choosing good quality watercolor paper really would make a difference. What happened with this paper that I got, and there's a link to it in the description, is that this particular paper caused a lot of buckling in the paper, and also the paint didn't actually absorb or run very well, or mix together very well, and that's because this was just a cheap paper block that I got. The second thing that I learned is that the amount of water that you use in the paint and when you're mixing, and also how much you put into the brush, does make a difference. And you can see over onto the right hand side as I'm mixing the paints, I'm using very, very little, and that's because I didn't really know how much to use and how much to mix together. And then I did try to do some blending, but with this particular paper, it didn't really work well. So it was a great learning opportunity in terms of how to get these colors to blend. In hindsight, I think I could have used a lot more water, and then it might have blended a little bit better. I also noticed that if it starts to dry, it's very difficult to get these colors to bleed together, and I was trying to create some kind of gradient and some nice mixing and to create some shading, but the paints were drying pretty fast. The next thing that I learned is the type of pen. If you are trying to draw on your painting or going to do some doodling, the type of pen you use does make a difference. This was a Zig marker that I was using here, and pretty fine tip. And I have to say, the first thing that I noticed is that it just didn't move across the paint very well with the Zig markers, and that the width of the tip does make a difference as well. I think this was a bit too fine. I would have liked something just a tad bit wider, and maybe something that ran over the paint a little bit more smoothly. And so you can see here that I'm also just experimenting a bit with designs because I've never done this before. It's kind of just experimentation for me. And again, I have no investment here. I'm just setting out to learn and enjoy, and it's a relaxing activity for me. So I just started to paint some owls and draw in some cute little figures with no expectation that I was going to create something that was going to be an amazing piece of art. So I just wanted to reinforce that it's okay if everything you paint or try to draw doesn't turn out well, especially as you're learning. And you can see by this third owl here, number one, I think I chose the wrong color to outline. I shouldn't have put red. And secondly, it really wasn't looking like anything I would be proud of. So I thought in the next one, I'm going to take a little bit of a chance and have the owl face another direction. So I just wanted to reinforce again, if something doesn't work out, it's okay. When you go and try again, take a chance, do something different. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't matter, especially if you're only doing it for yourself and you're on a learning journey. And I think, we're our own worst critics anyway, and so it's okay. Just enjoy the process. And the more we do it and the more we practice, the better that we're going to get. And so you can see I did try some different kinds of markers here as I was trying to do and create these little cartoon owls. And some definitely worked better than others. And so I will put a link in the description about which ones. Sorry, not a link, but I will describe which pens I did use and which I felt were a little bit better than others. I would definitely say the Zig markers were not working for me. The Sharpies seem to be a little bit better as I've been practicing. The other thing is that I just want to say that I got inspired by some of these owls by some looking at some Google images, and so these designs, although they were my own, I was inspired by other artists, and I think that that's okay as you're learning. If you do copy, give credit to those that you copied from, but ultimately these were ones that I had created and just took ideas from other people just so that I could start to create and do some unusual things. And also just figure out maybe there's a style that I might be better at than others. And so unless I experiment and try different things, I'm not going to figure out what that style might look like. Anyway, all that being said, the watercolor experience, probably not my best piece of art or my best art activity that I've done, but it was quite enjoyable, and it's something that you can do as just relaxing, if you're doing something else, sitting in front of a TV. I think that it's something that you can do, no different than other activities like knitting or crocheting when you're sitting in front of a television. I happen to really enjoy it, and I like mixing the colors and figuring out uh, whether or not this is something that I could create something nice at the end. So anyway, all of that, I have one more last final tip for you, and that is learn. So as you finish your artwork, review what you did, and I would say if there are things that worked, take some notes. If there were color choices that you used or mixed together, write those down. Figure out what you liked and what you didn't like, and review it, and really reward yourself for those things that did turn out. And don't worry about those that didn't, because as you take notes and you do this more and you practice, you'll get better, and I'm sure that I'll get better. So this is what I liked. The guy on the end liked the stripes. The guy that was red, I liked the heart-shaped face. The third guy, he was my favorite. I liked that he was facing another direction, and I liked the colors. I couldn't find very much redeeming about this one, but that's okay. I guess I learned something in that too. I did like some of the doodling that I did on this guy, and I didn't mind the green. And then in this one, I did like the yellow, and his face was actually quite cute. So there you have it. That was my first attempt. If you liked this, please subscribe, like, or share. See you next time.